Do this. Man, this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. It feels good to be back with my friend Kim. I mean, if you don't know, now you do truly know. This is episode not 1, 2, 3, or 4, but episode 5. Can you believe it? Episode 5 of the Organic Combat Podcast. What a time to be alive, right, Kim?
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's so much going on right now to where it's like there's a lot of theories, a lot of like predictions to like kind of go into, and just a lot of crazy bullshit going on in the
It's
world.
election year, so
Yeah, it's election year of 2024, man. And I will say this as far as elections goes, I usually try not to get too political on this, but there's so much stuff that's going on there. Where since the last time we got together, Kim, and did an episode, we were just talking about this before we recorded. Like, we have a lot of theories on what happened, of course, not only with the Trump assassination, with Kamala now running against Trump. Let me just start with this as far as breaking down each of them within itself, because it's the lesser of two evils, really, when you think about it. Like, would you rather be affiliated in quote unquote with a devil that you know or a devil that you don't know? At least we know what we're going to get out of with Trump. I will say that. And I want to say a few things in regards to Trump. I'll be honest when I say this. I didn't like him when he was president at first. Quietly, I was like, you know what? When you strip away all the craziness and his ego and him being a racist and a sexist and all those things, you strip all that away to the core. He's actually far from stupid, number one. Number two, he's a billionaire. He probably still is a billionaire, or at least I'd say like $900 million or $800 million, something of that nature. And at the same time, this is what people forget about when it came to, of course, when Trump was president. Yes, we understand January the 6th. Yes, that was something that it still blows my mind with the whole Capitol thing. I thought it was like a video game or something. But anyways,
the way they just walked right in.
They
walked right in through the front door.
They walked right in through the front door like, hey, how you doing? We're just going to make ourselves welcome at home. But here's what people aren't talking about with Trump that people don't give him enough credit for. This has personally been my favorite thing that he did. He went to fucking North Korea. Like, he went to North Korea. Did George Bush go to North Korea? No. Not even Barack Obama went to North Korea. And Barack Obama damn near did everything that the people wanted to see. But he didn't even go to North Korea. No president went. Donald Trump, not only after calling Kim Jong-un a fat ass and basically saying that I have a bigger button than you and I'm gonna blow your ass up, even if you
bigger. Oh, that's so iconic.
Yes, and for those who are listening right now, we're keeping things neutral. We're keeping things Switzerland. We're giving you the facts. We're not for Trump. We're not for Kamala. We're basically for whoever does the job right and who's actually willing to put, I don't know, the country first instead of us.
The American people first.
The American people first.
Our job is to kind of lay out the facts and let you be the judge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, giggle here and there because sometimes the facts are funny. Sometimes they're funny.
Facts over feelings.
He did say, I got a bigger button than you. And was he intimidating? Did he get his point across?
Yeah.
I would say he got that man to shake his hand and sit down with him and allow him into a country that nobody else dared to go into.
And Trump just walked up in there like if he ran North Korea. And then it's like, I remember literally like sitting down, watching it live on CNN, Kim, what had happened. And I'm just thinking to myself, this motherfucker Trump might go down as one of the top 10 greatest presidents of all time.
I'm not going to lie. I miss being feared. I'm tired of being laughed at by other countries. I do miss being feared. America used to be respected and feared by other world leaders, not in like a, oh my gosh, he's going to blow us up kind of way, but like a, okay, this man means business, so we're not going to like, he's not going to turn around and walk the wrong direction when they introduce him, and he's not going to say Merry Christmas and like wacky wild things, right? Like he was respected and people knew his competence and didn't question that.
And that is why all the world leaders fear him and they don't want him to be back in power as the president, because let's just be honest, 2024 and beyond, we're in the end times. we are definitely in the end times. And the system is pretty much broken. And if it isn't broken, it's literally holding down to its last T to where one more little there, it's going to shatter into pieces. So in all honesty, and the thing with Kamala, as well as Kamala, here's what people don't, I mean, Kamala has her moments, yes, but at the same time, she's not the brightest person in the room. This is the same Kamala Harris to where I think you sent me this video, Kim, which blew my mind. She's never been to fucking Europe.
She's never been to Europe, and that was a truth that she told after they asked her if she had visited the border, because everybody knows that we had that border crisis. And she just kept repeating herself over and over, the border, I've been to the border, I've been to the border. And they're like, have you been to the border like this year, like during your term?
Yeah, I've been to the border. I've been to the border, and I've never been to Europe.
But I've never been to Europe. And it's like, okay, so look this up. Everybody fact check me. She has the lowest IQ. Did you know that? She has the lowest IQ.
I did not know that, but it doesn't surprise
history.
Me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There has not been a single speech of this woman that I have felt inspired by, which is a shame because she is the first female, to come into power as vice president like this.
Mm-hmm.
She's a woman of color. What color? You be the judge, because she said different.
Yeah, she claims one moment she's black. Next thing you know, she's Native American. The next thing you know, she's saying she's Irish and all this stuff.
She's Indian.
And Indian.
A person who is, and my pastor said this the best, if you cannot be truthful about your own ethnicity, why should we believe that you're going to be truthful about anything else that you tell us? You can't even tell us the truth about yourself.
And don't get me started on everything she did while she was a state attorney in California. Most people don't notice about Kamala Harris. And this is for all my black folks who are listening. I can make an argument that Kamala Harris is damn near just as racist as Joe Biden and Donald Trump combined. Because
I would say action-wise, probably rivaling Joe Biden in the 70s.
She literally would make fun of the way she used to like wave her pen to where she can just wipe away people's rights, especially talking about us black folks here. That's why I'm over here sitting down, listening, watching all these black folks, get behind Kamala. And I'm thinking to myself, do you really want to get behind Kamala? Do you really want to explore a devil that you don't know versus dealing with a devil that we do know with Donald Trump, at least? And again, it's like a back and forth thing to where it's like, it goes back to what my mom said, keep things neutral, keep things Switzerland. I'm damn near even considering the independent option, even though he's not the best. I mean, I saw a story with him the other day, Kim. He's over here throwing dead bodies in the Central Park and shit. And I'm thinking, like, are you serious right now?
RFK?
This is Robert F. Kennedy.
Everybody likes him because he's the better option, the lesser of two evils. But think about it. He's pro late-term abortion. Look this up, because I have so many people. I'm not trying to stir feathers on purpose, but if it happens, if the shoe fits, then it fits.
That's not just him.
He is pro-abortion.
Yeah.
Late-term abortion.
Yeah.
And that means that a woman can give birth an actual live human being, and then kill it.
Yeah.
That is murder, people. That's called murder.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a whole other episode that we can do, but he is, for that fact alone, I'm out. I'm sorry, I can't be a part of that. I, as a woman, was faced with that option when I had my daughter, and that was not even an option to me. And so, yeah, that's a lesser of two evils. Is still pretty evil to me.
Yeah, it's like
everything else looks pretty, but
yeah. and I'll just say this is part of like the theory that I was telling you about with when Trump, with his assassination attempt.
Put your seatbelts on. It's getting real.
Yeah, with his assassination attempt, right? I remember waking up that morning and seeing. First of all, I thought it was a joke or something. It was like a hoax too.
I did too.
But when I saw the fact, when I actually watched the live video, I'll give him this. Like, he handled it the most gangster way you could possibly handle it without like freaking out. He like literally ducked, covered his ear. He was like, "Oh, I just got my ear grazed." And then that was when Secret Service rushed him and everything. Now, this is where I feel like, and this is just my personal opinion on this. And again, I'm not for either Trump. I'm not for Kamala. I'm not for Robert F. Kennedy.
For the American people.
I'm basically, this is how it is for me. And I tell Emily this all the time, and those who know me very well know this. I'm all for America, but fuck the government at the end of the day. That's how I truly feel about that. I'm all for America. It's the greatest country of the world. It's the land of the free once you pay a fee.
Ish, right?
Don't get that twisted.
Yeah.
I literally said that in my truth poem that I did for my spoken words event a couple of weeks ago. It's the land of the free once you pay a fee. Don't forget that. It doesn't matter. It don't matter who the president is. You're still going to pay a fee if you want to experience freedom. And that's, don't get me wrong, that's what makes America America. Don't get me wrong.
Capitalism.
But it's capitalism. And at the end of the day, if you want to talk about that, then we should probably have hope that Trump is the next president, because he's the only one who kind of understands how capitalism works and how America
1000%,
ran as a business and everything. And it's like,
he pretty much ran this country as a business.
Yeah.
And our economy was thriving. Unemployment, not just among African Americans, but every race had the lowest unemployment rates in decades. He had brought jobs to the U.S. from other overseas, China, Russia, all these other countries.
Mhm.
He brought the jobs here to us so that we could pay our bills and feed our families and put America first. We talked about this earlier. He fixed the Veterans Affairs.
Yes.
My grandfather, pretty much my whole family are veterans. So I got to hear firsthand from them how much it improved. And so I was with you. I'm not even going to lie. I was dreading the day that Trump was inaugurated, because I had just had my daughter was a day old. And so I'm thinking, oh, what did I do? What did I bring her into? Like, what's going to happen? Like, what am I going to have to face now? And because I heard all the propaganda on the TV, on the radio. Gas prices were cut in half. Grocery bills were affordable.
He did a lot, and it's like
he ended wars.
And this is and then it's funny how you say that specifically, ending wars, because look what Joe Biden has done ever since he's been in president. We've been in a never-ending war with Ukraine and Russia for what? And we were talking about this earlier. Vladimir Putin isn't the one people should be worrying about first and foremost. You were talking about, Kim, earlier, that Vladimir Putin, he basically forbids anybody to spray pesticides on their fruits and vegetables and all their crops and stuff.
Vladimir Putin made it illegal in Russia to spray glyphosate and pesticides on their crops or use GMOs for their crops for his people.
Doesn't sound like a bad guy to me.
He made it illegal. And if you do these things against the law and you break the law, you will be labeled a terrorist. Versus here in America, parents like me that homeschool or that, are involved with my child's life, if I were to put her in public school and I go and I complain to the PTA system. Didn't the FBI label parents terrorists in the last couple of years for wanting certain things banned in the classroom?
And you want to know what's funny? That kind of feeds into, that's one of the things that they actually talk about in Project 2025, that they're trying to eliminate the education department and bring more power back to the parents for their kids in education. But that's a whole nother thing we're going to get into a little bit more as far as Project 2025, Agenda 47. But to the whole theory thing with the whole Trump assassination, to me, when he was propped up, holding his fist up like this, with a bloody ear, American people in the background with the flag in the background, I looked at that and I remember looking over and telling Emily, I think Trump just solidified himself as the next president, and that it's his presidency to lose at this point. Because if you were to ask me right now, my gut feeling, who do I think is going to be the next president? It's going to be Donald Trump. And here's why it's going to be Donald Trump. And I'm going to make an even further argument on why he's going to be the quote unquote last president. Because again, we are in the end times. A lot of shit is about to pop off. We're on the brinks of a third world war. There are literally Russian warships lined up 90 miles out the Florida coast, ready to take out Florida as we speak. But they're not talking about that on the news. And at the same time, with the whole thing with the world leaders, Trump is the only person which all the world leaders feared. Even Kim Jong-un feared this man. The man went to North Korea and basically confronted him face to face, and now they're all best buddies now. You don't hear Kim Jong-un popping his mouth about Trump. Do you ever notice that? And you ever notice with Vladimir Putin, he loves Donald Trump, but he knows that there's a system that really controls every single president and has been like that since, I don't know, since the government was installed. I mean, I could be wrong. We'll fact check that at a later notice. But at the same time, it's like Trump, we need Trump to be the president because the system's already broken. So we might as well just smash it to pieces and build something up. And I hate to say this, he might be potentially the sacrificial lamb to a certain degree for all the years of tribulation that's going to come to follow, because Project 2025 is going to get implemented. It's going to revert back time to where racism and sexism and all those things are going to become basically normal. Basically, everything we learned about in the half of the history that they told us in the history books, we're going to get the full history to a certain extent. And they're going to try to make Trump probably the face of it. But at the same time, it's not really him who's behind Project 2025. It's people who are part of his administration. But at the same time, he kind of probably already knows about it, because think about it. You don't think he had conversations with those people about it? And let me just say this. Y'all better get ready, because he's coming back with a vengeance. I'm just going to throw it out there now, because we tried to drag him through the mud. We tried to put him through the criminal justice system, which he knows how to maneuver through, by the way, which people seem to forget. That needs to be studied, how to manipulate the legal system by in honor of Donald Trump.
The 1% know how. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and
they all do it.
And here's how, and I'll tell you how they do it. They do it through real estate, and they do it through their businesses. That's why corporations run America. That's why things like Vanguard and BlackRock, which we're going to get into down the road, because there's a whole lot to get into within that. It'll blow your mind. Trust me. Vanguard, BlackRock, along with the Rockefeller family, all the most richest, powerful families, they control America. They've controlled every single damn president except Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the only one who knows this, which is why he's basically thumbing his middle finger at them and saying, nah, I'm not going to follow your way of doing the system. I'm going to expose the system. I'm going to break it and shatter it into pieces, and I'm going to give the power back to the people, which in a way is kind of necessary, because with the way things are in 2024, we're heading into a third world war. We're heading into a second civil war. Don't get me started on BRICS currency and all that stuff that's about to flip in with the digital currencies and all that. We can just go on and on and on and on about it, but
they tell us what they want to do before they do it. They have to tell us, right? That's what they do. In our movies, in the TV shows that we watch, foreshadowing, everything that they do. So
leave the world behind.
Leave the world behind. That Civil War. Yeah. There's so many references that we could look back on, and all this has already been foretold. So I really hope that Donald Trump is not being controlled. That would be great, because he did his first 4 years. He did seem like he was for the people. He did a lot for the American people. He put Americans first.
He really did.
We talked about this before we started recording. What happens when you're on an airplane and the oxygen masks fall down? If you're going to the plane might crash, something might go wrong, the oxygen mask falls.
Every man for himself.
What do they tell you to do? You have children with you and you're with your family? What do you do?
Put your mask on first, then your children's.
You put your mask on first. You make sure that you're saved, and then you help the person next to you. And you had a good question asking me, what if it's your child? Then I definitely want to make sure I'm safe. Because
that's a trick question.
If I'm not safe and I give her masks, what if the little girl behind her needs saving and she doesn't know how to work it? You have to save yourself first. And that's exactly what Trump did. Was he put Americans first. He equipped us with our own resources, our own fuel sources, our own electricity and power grid. All of this can be fact checked. He gave us sovereignty to where we did not need to rely on other countries. We didn't need to rely so much on the government. He made it to where we could be independent and kind of get back on our feet so that we could get back to the great country that we were founded upon. Versus now. Yeah,
the founding fathers would be pissed off if they saw the way the country was today. If you bring back George Washington, if you bring back Thomas Jefferson, if you bring back Benjamin Franklin, who's just a psychopath within itself. If you bring back, I don't know, John Hancock, John Adams. Matter of fact, if you even throw in Abraham Lincoln in there, if you brought them all back and let them see how the country was today, they would be so pissed off.
Who do you think Abraham Lincoln would vote for between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris?
If Abraham Lincoln was alive, I think he would probably vote for Donald Trump. I'm being dead serious.
That's right. He did not vote. You're gonna break the internet with that comment. But yeah, I agree.
I'm just being honest. I mean, like,
he was for Black people's rights.
Yeah.
And he ended slavery as well as segregation. And it's funny because everyone thinks, well, why wouldn't you vote for Kamala Harris? Her dad is from Jamaica, so she's part Black, right?
Kamala Harris doesn't even know what race she is.
Not only does she not know what race she is, but she imprisoned
more Black people.
Thousands of Black men for marijuana, and she refused. She put an innocent man on death row and refused to present evidence until she was absolutely forced to save his life and get this innocent man acquitted of these murder charges.
And you want her to be the next president?
You tell me who is for Black rights or not. And I'm going to just add this one more thing.
Yeah.
Again, we're just stating facts here.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I found out in the beginning when Trump was voted in president, and I absolutely hated him and I loathed the idea of having a celebrity as a president.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked into all of these things to see and to tell people, look, you should hate him because of this. And I read all these things and I'm like, okay, well, that was not that bad. And okay, so did you know that when he purchased Mar-a-Lago,
yeah,
Black people were not allowed in there? Blacks and Jews were not allowed into Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm.
He revised that and allowed Black people and Jews to be able to participate into all of the activities and festivities of that public place. You tell me he's racist again.
Yeah, it just comes down to, like, again, the lesser of two evils, and at the same time, just do your research before and be very, very careful on who you vote for. First off, and this should be like a disclaimer or something. This is all based on facts and research that we've done, mixed in with a little bit of our personal opinions. And we're encouraging everybody who's listening to this episode of the Organic Combat Podcast to do your own research.
Yes, please.
Facts over feelings.
Facts over feelings. We do not vote with our feelings, people. We vote based off of facts, not propaganda on the news, not propaganda on the radio. Look it up yourselves.
This 2024 election is going to be the biggest election of all time, and it might be the last legitimate election we'll ever have, because, yeah, the system's already broken, and we're already. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't even have another election again after this, which is why I say, number one, go register to vote. Number one.
Yes.
Number
please.
two, do your research, fact check all the information from all sides. That's Kamala, that's Trump. And I guess if you want to throw Robert F. Kennedy with his weird self into there.
Look at all of them, yeah.
Look at all of them.
Dead worm in the brain may not.
Yeah, look at all of them, and you make the decision based off of the facts, not your feelings. Because if you make decisions with your feelings, you're more than likely going to regret them every single time. I'm living proof of that. I've made some decisions over my own emotions to where I'm like, yeah, that's probably not the best.
Hindsight, right?
Yeah, it's not the best way to do that. So I'm like, that's why facts. Matter of fact, that should be the theme for the 2024 election: facts over feelings.
That's right.
For anybody who's independent, undecided whether they want to vote for, just remember this: facts over feelings.
Yes.
Do your research, and at the same time, trust your gut instincts and follow your heart within this, and I guarantee you're going to make the right decision that way.
You know what? No, I'm sorry. I'm going to cut in. Do not follow your hearts. Don't follow your hearts, because your heart can be deceiving. And what is our heart based off of?
It is based off of emotions
and
you know
feelings.
Matter of fact, let me backtrack here for a second. Trust your gut.
Yes.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut and research.
Trust your gut. Do your research.
You
facts
have to.
over feelings. That way you don't have these cortisol face that they're talking about on TikTok and everything. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on with cortisol face. Like, I had to look into this myself. There's no such thing as a cortisol face for everyone who's like on TikTok, like, oh, cortisol face. That has to be the dumbest.
It's moon face is what I heard it as.
It's moon face, number one. And at the same time, it's part of Cushing syndromes. And yes, there's high levels of cortisol that are involved in the face with all the stress hormones throughout the body and stuff. But when I kept hearing cortisol face, I kid you not, Kim, I had to Google this myself and be like, is this a real thing? And I literally saw a CBS News article like literally 2 days ago that came out, y'all. You can literally Google it as we speak. As a matter of fact, I have it up right now on my laptop, which I'm actually going to read the story here for those who are watching. It's like, yes, TikTok users have recently garnered attention with videos blaming increased stress, which could stimulate the release of cortisol for facial puffing and swelling, which they refer to as cortisol face. This is a CBSNews.com article that came out on August the 8th. I'm not making this up. Like, me and Kim are literally looking at this right now for those who are watching right now on YouTube. And it says right here, it goes down to the symptoms. You talk about the symptoms here. Weight gain, especially in your
face and abdomen.
Fatty deposits between your shoulder blades. Purple stretch marks on your belly. High blood sugar, high blood pressure. That's insulin resistance right there. Excessive hair growth on the face, chest, and back.
Weak bones and fractures.
Muscle weakness in your upper arms and thighs. So this seems like to me, this is a lot more than cortisol face. So
yeah,
stop with all the bullshit trends. I don't want to hear nobody talk about cortisol face. That has to be the dumbest fucking thing I think I've ever heard in all of 2024. And I've heard some dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like it's Cushing syndrome. It's moon face.
Adrenal insufficiency.
Yes.
So that to me sounds like a symptom or a side effect of something else that's going on in your body. And they're trying to cover it with this, it's Cushing's, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, yes, cortisol is associated with stress. We're not disputing that at all. But if you want to talk about cortisol face, just stop. Like now we're going too far with this. Like cortisol face.
That was a symptom that was basically exposed to me whenever I was in the hospital when we talked about this. I was in the hospital. I went septic. For those that don't know, I had food poisoning from Chick-fil-A.
And we talked about this on the last episode too, by the way.
Yeah, undercooked chicken coupled with Campylobacter infected my blood. And so I'm in the hospital for 7 days straight. They had three rounds of antibiotics. There are 3 different strains. And a high dose of prednisone, basically steroids. Which is cortisol, for those that don't know. In layman's term, it's cortisol.
Yep.
So I was on steroids for a month straight after I got out of the hospital. I had a relapse and I went back in for basically 2 weeks total, was in the hospital. And I had these symptoms, like my face was rounded because I gathered fatty, like I had it was called moon face. And I was like, what is this? And my doctor.
That's almost just as crazy as cortisol.
He is so stupid. And I was like, what is wrong with my face? And my doctor, I had 5 doctors, including 1 specialist, tried to convince me that this was normal and it's okay. You just get, you're autoimmune. Just inject your body with this immune suppressant, and you can eat whatever you want and just keep
put a steroid inside of you and an antibiotic, right?
Keep taking these drugs every day for the rest of your life. And I was like, you lost me there, bud. I'm sorry. As I started doing my own research, I started finding all of these different anomalies in their treatment. This treatment, Humira, doesn't even treat ulcerative colitis for once. So question, like you said, if that gut instinct kicks in and there's a little red flag in your brain, I don't care if it's a specialist or any kind of doctor that's telling you something that your body and that your intuition just does not agree with, smile and nod and go do your own research.
And better yet,
it's so important. Yeah.
And better yet, here's a good one right here. Why don't you realize the importance of needing to have those natural remedies mixed in with that conventional medicine?
Yes.
And it's like,
I will say this, the steroids did save, the antibiotics and the steroids saved my life. I was septic. I was dying. It saved my life, but that's a temporary short-term fixture. That was something that was necessary.
Don't become reliant on it and dependent on it.
I cannot rely on that for the rest of my life. That's what I was told to do.
Yeah.
And so when you're being presented with information that just does not sit right with your soul as a human being, like we're not meant to be Like I'm in my early 30s. Like I should not be on these medications for the rest of my life.
No.
So questioning that, it's like you have to do the research and look up actual published medical journals and facts and side effects of different things, because they're prescribing us so many things in the USA. We talked about this. Capitalism, big pharma is just a giant corporation.
Yeah.
They don't want to heal you, because a healed customer is a healed patient is a customer lost, right?
That's exact. That's right.
With all of these different pharmaceuticals that we're being prescribed ever since COVID in 2020, like all these side effects are being blamed on, oh, well, there's too much sun, climate change, and global warming is causing increased heart attacks.
Even though sunlight is good for our skin.
Sunlight is good for vitamin D absorption.
Exactly, vitamin D.
There's so many benefits to a natural whole food diet and holistic way of living.
Yep.
Versus a pharmaceutical Band-Aid that you're slapping on the symptoms instead of getting to the root cause.
I had a great conversation about this with the only naturopath doctor that we have here in Corpus Christi, Texas, Dr. LaDonna Roach. I think I may have told you about this before, Kim. Mm-hmm. She basically emphasized the importance of the need of having a balance between conventional medicine and natural holistic practices. Yes. And you want to know why? Every other country other than America practices that exactly. Yes, and you want to know why America doesn't practice it? As Kim just touched on it, capitalism, big pharma. Why do you think marijuana is still illegal in 2024 and it's still listed as a Schedule 1 drug under the Controlled Substance Act?
On the federal level.
But there is no way in hell that marijuana is more deadlier than heroin. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna throw that out there. And
ask your vice president. Ask your vice president. She said that she smoked it herself and she imprisoned.
And this is someone
other people for this.
And this is someone who's an avid cannabis user. I'm just gonna say it like this: if that was the case, if marijuana being as deadly as people say that it is, I wouldn't be here right now. Let's just be honest here. A lot of people wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
that's true. You're right.
Name one. If you can name 10 people who has died from a marijuana overdose, I will stop smoking weed for the rest of my life.
Name even one person.
Name me one person, please. I'm challenging anyone to find this, and you're not gonna find it. I guarantee you that. So it's like,
I will admit, back in the day, I was an avid user of marijuana for medicinal purposes. It helped me sleep. It helped with like anxiety, things like that. Yeah, and it wasn't like an everyday thing, but after becoming a mom and kind of running my business and homeschooling, that I don't need it anymore. So, but I am not against it. I am 100% for CBD. I use CBD balm for my injuries from training.
It's more than just getting high.
It is not. Yes, there's medicinal purposes for it, and I'm all for that.
It's also creating jobs, and it's also helped boosting the economy as well. Look at Colorado. Look at California. They're making billions of dollars off of it, which can help clear the national debt. But you want to keep it illegal. And matter of fact, we're going to definitely talk a little bit more about this, because I know a bunch of cannabis users and advocates who I've had on the HFWB podcast series, my other podcast, who could speak about how it saved their lives.
Yeah.
And I'm going to dive into those stories a little bit more. So stay tuned for that.
I agree with that. It's good for appetite. Like if you're getting out of the hospital, like you said, combine the Eastern and Western medicine and the herbal remedies that God has given us. So marijuana is an herb. It's God's plant. It says in the Bible, and don't think that I'm saying, oh, God said we can smoke marijuana. It doesn't say that. What it says in the Bible is that God placed the animals on this earth for us to consume and eat, and the plants and the herbs to heal us. So if marijuana is an herb, then it should be used to heal us for tinctures and balms and anything, edibles, whatever you might need. Mm-hmm. Like, let's say when I got out of the hospital, for instance, they prescribed me. I had a whole receipt list of things that I was supposed to take. I have a video I was watching that makes me sad to look at because I was a zombie. But to increase my appetite, they wanted to give me pharmaceuticals when all I really had to do was just go down the street and find my good friends that knew where to get the best stuff, right? That can help me eat and increase my weight naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, and if we had dispensaries here, like in California or Colorado, all of the states where it is legal for recreational, not just medicinal, but for recreational use as well. If we had these dispensaries, we could literally get it door dashed. Did you know that in California they DoorDash you?
That's how it was when I was in Washington D.C. and Las Vegas. I was literally having weed delivered to the hotel from the dispensary. Yeah. So I
have family and friends in California, and when I go over there, like, I was shocked. The last time I went to California, my best friend was like, "Oh, I'm like, well, I'm in California. Let me try out what this has, right?" And so she's like, "Oh, just pick what you want." And we're going through the list, and she picks it from the website, and like 30 minutes later, it gets delivered, like freaking DoorDash and Taco Bell. And I was like, what? It blew my mind. But that's why
I want to go back to. That's why I'd rather travel to all places that have it legal for medical and recreational uses. And can you imagine if Texas did that? Texas is a big state, y'all.
Yeah.
It really is. Colorado and California are making billions of dollars already. Can you imagine what Texas could do? But you want to know why Texas will never do it? Because Texas is stuck on its bullshit racist agendas from the 1800s. That's exactly why they won't do it. And they're in cahoots with, of course, the money getters with Big Pharma and all this other stuff. But that's a whole nother thing.
Let's pray to break those chains. This is the year. This is an election year. If you talk to God and you pray, you meditate, you journal, you do little things like that, this is the year to really amp up your prayer life, because let me tell you, shit's
about to get real.
It works. And when two or more are gathered in Jesus' name.
Yes, indeed.
And we are in agreement. Those prayers are not only heard, Jesus is with us, but those prayers are answered as well. And I am a firm believer of that. So if you're worried about your country, if you're worried about your state and its policies, and you think that this is something that should be legalized, or anything should be legalized or criminalized for that matter, you take it up to the one who's in charge. Because I promise you, the president's not in charge. The Rockefellers are not in charge. At any given time, we could literally, the Bible says that nobody knows when Jesus is coming back.
Yeah.
We could literally die tomorrow. Tomorrow could be the last day. You could hear those trumpets. And are you going to be saved? Are you? I know I'm going to be saved. Not saying I'm perfect. The Bible never said you have to be perfect.
No.
There is a specific law that you have to follow. Open up your Bibles, get to reading. This is the time to get close to God, because let me tell you right now, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, third party, nothing changes. Look at that pattern in history. Every Democratic president, we still have taxes, and they didn't fulfill all their promises.
Nope.
Every Republican president, we still have the same issues. Nobody fulfilled their promises. Whether you love Trump, whether you love Joe Biden or Kamala, whoever you love, have they fixed all of your issues? No. So
not even close.
It is time that you get right with the Creator and really, really lean not on your own understanding, but have faith. And so I love that we do this podcast together, because we are here to spread awareness, but we're definitely not here to spread fear.
Yeah.
And I like that you empower me with knowledge, and I feel like I empower you with some knowledge.
It's a back and forth thing.
We come back and we kind of bounce it off each other. We're two totally different people with minds that are just that's where we like mesh, is our minds are so similar.
Two different worlds, but the same symmetry.
Yes. And this is exactly what America is all about. Like, you and me get to gather. We get to talk about Jesus. We get to talk about politics. We get to talk about our everyday life, capitalism. We don't have to do it in secret. We could do it publicly. We used to do it publicly at Texas Coffee Bar. And it's just a beautiful thing. If you want to keep on having these freedoms, put your trust in God, but let your voice be heard, and go register to vote. Go look at the facts. Don't worry about what the TV says or what anything says, because every single president in history has killed somebody.
Yeah.
Every single, even Bill Clinton, when he was done doing his thing with Monica Lewinsky, he went and pushed his buttons, and he went and sent drones, and innocent people died.
Obama took out Osama bin Laden, or supposedly took out Osama bin Laden.
He took out a lot of civilians too. He took out a lot of innocent people, but so did Trump. every president, and you can look this up.
There's
the
blood
FOIA.
on everybody's hands.
Yes, look up the FOIA Act where everything is publicized. Like you can go and look it up yourself. You can go and Google this right now. How many people did presidents kill between this year and this year? Like you can go and look at the drone count. You can go and look at the casualties. You can look at the policies that were implemented. You can go and look at does anybody do this? Does anybody actually pay attention to the policies, or are we just voting based off how we feel?
Facts over feelings, y'all. Facts over feelings.
Yes.
And that's the theme of the 2024 election. And you heard it on the Organic Combat podcast here first. I mean, we're living in a crazy ass world, and we're living in end times. This is how you know we're living in end times, Kim. This whole Listeria outbreak from a few days ago with this boar's deli meat that just blew my mind. I didn't even realize. Or boar's head. And I'm looking at this. Well, so much for everybody who likes ham and cheese sandwiches. I'm like,
no, didn't you hear they want us to eat cereal for dinner? I'm just kidding. Go.
That's even worse.
That is even worse.
But at the same time, it's like this Listeria outbreak is just blowing my mind, where it's actually killing people, and it's actually making people severely sick because it's this fast spreading bacteria that comes from like infested like farms and properties and all this kind of stuff. And it's like it gets put into the stores and everything. Like, what the hell's going on in this world in 2000? I knew 2024 was going to be crazy, but you knew
can't trust anything anymore.
Like,
it's crazy.
And then I saw more stories where it's like you got lead being put in dark chocolate and cinnamon now and all this stuff.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that. But where are all these heavy metals coming from? You see it overhead, right? You see those lines in the sky and everything that's being sprayed in the atmosphere. Chemtrails. Everything that all these clouds that are gray and orange and like different color,
Thanks,
odd
Bill
colored,
Gates, for spraying everything.
Right? Yeah, odd colored clouds. They rain down these heavy metals that absorb into our soil.
You went from microscope to just decide I'm just gonna spray everything and I'm just gonna kill all you motherfuckers.
Oh, I'm gonna deal with first. I'm gonna create viruses for computers, and now I'm gonna do it for vaccines.
I'm like, what the hell happened to Bill Gates? But that's a whole nother thing.
Episode.
We're gonna get into that, and trust me, I just kind of sprinkled a little nugget here because there's actually a video that we'll get into at another time that's mind blowing, to where it's like, oh, Bill Gates, it's something weird about him, always walking around with a weird smile on his face,
like boobies telling you to eat artificial meat.
Eat artificial meat. I'm eat the lab grown meat in the laboratories and eat all the fruit and vegetables.
Like a frog. Sorry. Don't be mean. I should not be mean. But let's be real. This man, look at.
He said he looks like a frog.
He does. Those eyeballs and then like the saggy features. And it's like, it reminds me of a toad that's just.
He looks like a combination of a frog mixed with Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. But that's a whole nother thing. But the point is, you need to be aware as far as
what
just
you're putting in your system.
Putting it in your body, and stay away from Listeria, y'all, because I mean, all those people who love ham and cheese sandwiches, pastrami sandwiches, all those who praise boar's head deli, stay away from that, because it's a serious thing.
It is a serious thing, and women, you all are with mothers, you all are with me. Listeria is not a new thing for us, right? When you're pregnant, they tell you don't eat deli meat. Doesn't matter who it is, if it's boar's head or whatever brand it is, they tell you don't eat it. But one trick that I did figure out, and it's not really a trick, it's like common sense. If it's cross-contamination can happen anywhere. And this is why I say you can't trust anything, because you can go to like Nico's Steakhouse, which I'm not saying anything bad because I love Nico's Steakhouse.
Yeah,
but you can go to Nico's, you can go to McDonald's or Nico's. It doesn't matter where you go. You don't know who is handling your food.
Yeah.
You don't know how they're handling it. You don't know if they have a raw piece of chicken right next to a raw steak.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous nowadays. You take a chance when you go and eat, but don't be afraid to do it. Just know the risk that you're taking. And if you are eating it at home, just get your skillet, turn it on, get your deli meat. If you already have it in your fridge, don't throw it in the trash. Sear it? Yeah, sear it on both sides for 10 seconds. Once you see steam coming out, and this is something you can look up. This is what I looked up when I was pregnant. You can steam it or sear it on both sides for 10 seconds each, and that should be long enough to kill any bacteria that's on or in the deli meat. So
I mean,
take it with a grain of salt. I mean, you can throw it away if you want.
You might have just fixed the Listeria outbreak unintentionally, Kim.
Because they want to create mass panic and chaos, and they want you to think there's a food shortage. There is no food shortage, people. There's no water shortage. They just want you afraid and waiting on them hand and foot for more. Don't do that. Just use your brain, common sense. We can all read. We all know that cross-contamination happens. You take a risk when you eat sushi. Yeah. Make sure you're eating it from a reputable dealer.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're freezing your fish for 7 days if it's raw or more, and then you can eat it.
Eat clean, lean, and green, y'all.
Yes.
That's all we're trying to say is just eat clean, lean, and green.
It's easy.
Organic, grass-fed. All those wonderful things. That's the whole purpose of why we named it the Organic Combat Podcast, is to raise awareness on those things as far as just those healthier habits with just that holistic organic approach. And it's like turning it into a way of life for life. And that is a real big difference as far as just having not only believing in that way of life, but having faith in that way of life as well. And I mean, and people get those two words confused, like faith and belief. It's like
they're very different.
And I want to clarify this as this has been a great conversation, by the way.
I'm so fired up.
It's like the energy is just on a whole nother level and it keeps getting better. But anyways, as far as the difference between faith and belief, if I can bring this up in my notes here. Here's for those who are wondering, well, why are they not the same? Are they the same? No, they're not the same. They're two different complete words. I mean, you got faith on one side, belief on the other. It's not that hard. They're even different in the dictionary, but that's another thing.
They are different. You give your explanation, and then I got a good finisher for this one because we just talked about this one in church.
And this is basically here. Faith is the state of openness and trust. Meaning, why do you think they always say you got to have faith in God? You got to have faith in the higher power above you, because you have to be open to that. You got to be open to God whenever you talk to him in the form of prayer. You got to be honest, but in a respectful, straightforward fashion of honesty. And at the same time, that way that level of trust is established on a spiritual level to where it's like it gets to the point where you can hear God telecommunicating to you if you really feel it within your overall spiritual well-being. That is what faith is really all about versus, belief, a state of holding on to something, like clinging on to something. That's where I feel like, the physical intangibles a little bit kind of factor in, like they believe in like the resources that they have that makes them into the person that they are. No, here's a good example of this. Like, do you believe that you have the best outfit that you're of all time on? And I'm going to say why you don't have the best outfit of all time on, because clothes don't make the person. A person makes the clothes.
That's right.
That's a good example right there within itself. Yeah. You're holding on to that belief to where it's like, oh, if I have this matching outfit on with the shirts, the pants, the shoes, I'm going to be a complete individual. No, you're already that complete individual before you put that outfit on. So
it's what you carry when you're wearing something that makes you feel confident. It's within you that whole time. Like a Kanye West. You could see a homeless person wearing something and it may not look that great, but Kanye West puts it on and all of a sudden everybody wants to pay $1,000 for a tattered up t-shirt with holes all over it.
Or holes all over his shoes with the Yeezys. I mean, I love you, Kanye, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Those Yeezys are some of the ugliest shoes I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's not really Kanye anymore. That's for the next episode. Yeah, it's not really
That's a whole nother thing, but man.
But yes, so you're exactly right with that. Belief is one thing and faith is another. And so let me give you a biblical perspective of how you are so correct. Even the devil believes in God. It is not enough to believe. Belief is not going to change anything. It's a state of mind.
There's a reason why they say heaven and hell coexist to a certain degree, because at the same time, most people forget this about quote unquote Lucifer, Lucy, whatever you want to call the devil or whatever. It's like The devil used to be God's favorite angel. He got thrown out because he thought he was God and was bigger. He wanted to be worshipped and praised, and he wanted to be bigger than the person who made him. And God's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You know what? I had enough of this.
I actually just read Revelations, and because I was curious about that, I wanted to read. I read a lot about God and Jesus. I just finished the Gospels with Jesus Christ and his life, but I wanted to go back to the original. Okay, so what happened to Lucifer? What happened? He believed in God, but was he saved? No, he's not saved.
His ego just got the best
his
of him.
greed. He was the first
pride, greed.
Pride was his first sin, and that was
this in my poetry book too.
That was exactly what happened. And it says it in the Bible as well. Even demons believe in God.
Yeah,
but they are not. They are far from saved. They are not saved.
They fear God more so than anything.
They believe, though.
They believe, but there's a lot of
faith.
fear.
There is no faith in them. There is not a single faith that can be found among them.
Yeah.
And so those are not God's children. And I wouldn't really say that heaven and hell coexist. More so, would I say Lucifer has been to both? Most definitely. He has that perspective of heavens, because you're right. He was God's favorite angel. He was in charge of, and this is like info for another podcast, but Lucifer was the angel of music. He had the gift of music.
And we're going to definitely get into that, because there's so much we could talk to you about that aspect alone as far as the frequency levels. But we're going to peel that back layer by later in another episode. But he was the angel
of music.
Yep.
God said, you were perfect in beauty. You were adorned with the finest jewels. And he went off and listed all these jewels that he was adorned with. And you were perfect in beauty until iniquity was found in you.
Yeah.
So until he wanted to be like God, which I see a lot of these people like Bill Gates and all these people that are like trying to splice genes and create their own little things. That's why we were flooded, people. But I don't want to digress. So belief is one thing. Having faith in God is a totally different thing, because I can believe in God all day. Believers are not the same as followers of Christ, because if you're a follower of Christ, you are following the path that he's laid out for you, following the law that has been laid out by the Father in the heavens, the great I am. And you are not simply believing. I could be over here, God's over there, and I could believe that that's God over there, but I'm not moving.
Yeah.
But until you get up and you have faith that I'm going to follow this path, I may not see God. I may not hear him all the time. I may sometimes feel like he's being silent, but I have that faith that I'm on the right path, and your blessings will expose the truth along the way. Like you received a blessing recently that we were talking about before the show. And it's like, you get confirmation in your dreams. You get confirmation in the messages when you're reading. You get confirmation through conversations with other people that are like-minded, or even maybe that are not like-minded. You can still receive confirmation. Yeah. So faith over belief, two totally different things. But that's awesome that came up, because we literally, our pastor, that's my confirmation, because our pastor just talked about that on Sunday. So
and it kind of feeds into basically pretty much what was going to be my scripture for today, actually, which is actually what came up as my verse of the day in the Holy Bible app, which I follow tremendously, and it kind of ties everything together. Look at how the universe and God works, right? Give thanks to the Lord and proclaim his greatness, and let the whole world know what he has done.
Yes, amen. Worship the creator, not the creation.
And that's from the book of Psalms, by the way, for those who are wondering where that's
from. That was Psalm 105, verse 1.
And that's how you start off in that book right there. That pretty much sums it all up to me. It's like, we all know how great God is. I mean, look at the world that we live in. Yes, we got to go through the worst of things before things get better, but it's all part of the plan, and it's all part of really what's going to come. I mean, I've been saying this all the time, Kim. It's just something that I've been feeling in my gut lately. It's just been this sense of urgency that I've been having more so than I've ever had within the last couple of years.
Things are shifting. Things
20
are shifting in the spiritual as well as the physical.
And
100%.
And it's like, there's this shift that's coming like within Mother Earth where it's like going to be ready to like reset, kind of like how you just alluded to with like the flood. We may not get a flood maybe, but something's going to happen to where
God promised that he'll never flood the earth again, but he will bring it, he will end it by fire. And so that is to me terrifying, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be left behind when that time comes. And there will be a great deception. The Bible spoke of that too. You already mentioned there's a lot of prophecies that are happening. We're living in the end times. The Euphrates River dried up. So all of these signs towards the end times that you're referring to are biblical. They were prophesied thousands of years ago. They are happening. And that's a really good reason for you, like I said, to get right with God. And not be left behind when that rapture does.
Here's another good reason why you need to get right with God. I mean, did you see the bullshit that they were showing on the damn Olympics with the Olympic opening ceremony?
How did we not open with this? I forgot about it.
No, I'm just gonna throw this out here because I was doing my spoken words event the night before, as far as when that happened and everything. But it was like when I saw that, I'm thinking to myself, oh, so they're just throwing it right into our face that we're in the end times. Like all this stuff with Revelations, the dude who was masked up where we couldn't see his face and he was riding a horse.
The pale horse.
The pale
rider, right?
And he had all the nations behind him. And the first thing I thought of, I'm like, so they're just gonna start throwing out the fact that the Antichrist is coming now?
That's death.
That's what we're doing now at the Olympics. And then you have all the major athletes with the little goat symbols, the goat chains and everything. And I'm looking at it. I was watching like when Simone Biles was getting interviewed while she was wearing the goat chain and everything. And all the celebrities like, Snoop Dogg and everybody. And I'm looking at
all the sellouts. I hate it because I used to love Snoop. I loved him so much.
Yeah, but it's like with the goat chain, and I'm thinking to myself,
the Baphomet.
Yeah, the Baphomet. That's a whole nother thing. And that's like when I saw that, I was like,
I didn't watch the Olympics. I will admit I did. I watched the wrestling. I love wrestling, and gosh, go USA! All the women are killing it, and the men too.
I just actually just finished watching the U.S. men basketball team because me growing up playing basketball.
I know we all have our favorites, and that's okay. Like it's okay. The athletes, they're all just they're puppets. The puppeteers are putting together the show. I didn't watch the opening ceremony. I did see the pictures of it. I did see them try to say, oh, that's a Greek representation of a Greek feast and this and that. And I'm like, well, then why did they take down the female, the overweight female who was portraying Jesus, even said on her, was it Instagram or Twitter? Or,
it was probably
X. I think it was X. She even said, and she took it down from her stories, oh, I got to play Jesus. I got to be Jesus. And it's like an overweight woman. Tell me that's not blasphemous.
That's
gluttony right there. And then you have all of these drag queens, which I'm not against,
No, I'm off. I mean,
if you want to live your life, as long as it doesn't affect me and my children, I don't care. You do you. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you do you.
Exactly.
I'm
speak your
neutral.
Peace and keep the peace, please.
Right. Yeah, I'm neutral. Like God put me on this earth to love my brothers and sisters. I'm not here to judge you. That's God's job. But to see them doing this with a small child present, to see them, this man, this like half naked Smurf, with little berries covering his junk, like so stupid, dancing and being provocative in front of a child, having them participate. Well, there's a verse for that too.
And then you wonder why Paris went through a damn blackout right after that happened.
Literally right after.
And you want to know what the only place that didn't go through a blackout? The
church.
The oldest church that they have in Paris, which kind of speaks to, again, the verse that I said. You got to give thanks to God and proclaim his greatness and let the world know what he has done. I mean, obviously, the people who were doing the Olympics opening ceremony said the hell with the verse I just wrote, because look at how God responded. He's like,
God sees all. And
so you're just going to mock the Last Supper like I'm not watching this right here, right now. Right. Okay, I got something for y'all.
Yeah, you can
black out.
You can fool my kid, my children. You can fool the people of the earth, because a lot of people are fooled and still to this moment will debate and argue that was not a depiction of the Last Supper. But God cannot be deceived. God cannot be deceived. And Lucifer He is known as the deceiver.
Yeah.
So it's entertainment, music, movies, whatever it is.
It's all a frequency level.
Pray for wisdom, pray for discernment so that you can differentiate and see. Like, I mean, I don't make my daughter live in a bubble. She's allowed to watch, trolls and certain things that I may not agree with everything, but I'll
there's a sense of understanding.
Watch it, and it's one thing that, like, as we see it, she'll be like, "Mom, is that mocking Jesus?" And I'm like, yes or no, but we'll talk about things. So the fact that she can discern and see, like, "Hey, Mom, this is magic. Is that witchcraft?" Yes, it is witchcraft. You know that we don't practice witchcraft, but if you see, Elsa doing her little thingy thing, that's what it is. Magic is witchcraft. And so I don't hide her or shield her from these things because it's all around her, and that's not my job to shield her. I'm doing her a disservice, not showing her what the world is going to show her.
Yeah.
I'm doing her a service by teaching her, okay, so this is what's out in the world. Now use your eyes and your ears.
I will say this is, and I feel like this is the best way we should close this, as far as just leaving it with a positive message. We're just going to say this: pray and meditate more so than ever. Pray to God, pray to Jesus, pray to the Holy Spirit, that same Holy Spirit that's within us that makes us powerful to where we can feel the Spirit of God. Yes. Why do you think we go like this when we say Father, Son, Holy Spirit? Because that's the Holy Trinity within itself that's going to save us from this bullshit, deceitful world that's literally going to shit and going to hell day by day. And at the same time, we need to meditate and get on that frequency level, because there's a certain frequency that we could tap into to where we could feel like how God basically vibrates as a frequency.
Nikola Tesla talked about frequencies,
and that's a whole other thing we're going to get into another time. So I just want you
even if you're not Catholic, right? You don't have to do the what is it called?
The sign of the cross.
Yes, you don't even have to do that. I don't do that personally. I'm not going to tell you to do it or not to do it. But as long as you're praying to, like you said, the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, you're praying to the right one, the God, the great I am. And so I will end it with my favorite verse. And I've probably said this on another episode, but I just feel like we
need to repeat this that way we can beat it into people's heads.
Yeah, we're at that time. We are fighting right now. We are battling spiritually against the evil principalities of our nation, which that's what my tattoo is, Ephesians 6:11. Put on the full armor of God so that you might be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we battle not against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual powers and entities and governors of our nations. So look up Ephesians 6:11, equip yourself daily, and just put on your full armor of God. That is going to save God's children. I think that's like you said, no matter who you vote for, whether it's the last and final president, we don't want it to be someone that is going to strip away all of our rights. But we're kind of, in the end, like you said, if it's all controlled by a certain group of people, we're not in control.
Yeah.
We have to give it to God. Give everything to God. Let him know your worries. Let him know your stresses. Let him know your anxieties. Let him know your desires. And just pray, meditate on those things.
Because we are in the end times, and you'd be surprised.
Positives.
You'd be surprised on what you could reveal about yourself and discover about the world when you realize the importance of just prayer and the importance of just meditation and just having that moment of silence. That way we can try to put it in to all of the violence once and for all. So it's like, and until the next time, the only thing I could really say at this point is facts over feelings. Do your research.
Yes.
And at the same time,
put on your armor.
Put on your armor. Trust your gut feeling. And at the same time, pray to God and meditate to the frequency of God, which we'll get into on another episode.
Yes.
But all I'm going to end it with is just saying this: 999. YouTube that, and you'll see what I'm talking about, and that'll help you get on the right track.
I'm gonna have to YouTube that too.
Till next time, y'all. Deuces and peace, love, and positive vibration.
Love your neighbors.
Please do.
Yes.